Good morning!
Are you ready for today's lesson? I am Joanne
I'm June.
And I am Alex.
from the Division of Iligan
City.
City.
The topics that we are going to discuss today are the following.
Why do educational leaders need new standards now?
How well the standards developed.
What makes them professional standards?
To whom do the standards used?
What's new about these standards?
What is the link between educational leadership and student learning?
How can the standards be used?
And organization of the professional standards for educational leaders.
Professional standards for educational leaders will also be discussed.
Standards 1 to 5 will be discussed by Sir June.
And Ma'am Joanne will be discussing standards 6 to 10.
Sit back
Relax
and enjoy while learning with us.
Let's start with our first question. Why do educational leaders need new standards now? Technologies are advancing faster than ever. The conditions and characteristics of children in terms of demographics, family structures, and more are changing also. With this, such changes are creating myriad challenges for educational leaders, and at the same time, they present rich and exciting opportunities for educational leaders to innovate and inspire staff to pursue new and creative approaches for improving schools and promoting student learning. The profession of educational leadership has developed significantly. Educational leaders need new standards to guide their practice in directions that will be most productive and beneficial to students.
So, how were the standards developed? It involved a thorough review of empirical research and sought the input of researchers and more than 1,000 school and district leaders through surveys and focus groups to identify gaps among the 2008 standards, the day-to-day work of education leaders, and leadership demands of the future. The National Association of Elementary School Principals, National Association of Secondary School Principals, and American Association of School Administrators were instrumental to this work. The public was also invited to comment on 2 drafts of the standards, which contributed to the final product. The National Policy Board for Education Administration, a consortium of professional organizations committed to advancing school leadership, has assumed leadership of the standards in recognition of their significance to the profession and will be their steward going forward. Thus, the standards are the result of an extensive process that took an in-depth look at the new education leadership landscape. What makes them professional standards? They are created for and by the profession to guide professional practice and how practitioners are prepared, hired, developed, supervised, and evaluated. They inform government policies and regulations that oversee the profession. By articulating the scope of work and the values that the profession stands for, standards suggest how practitioners can achieve the outcomes that the profession demands and the public expects. Professional standards are not static. They are regularly reviewed and adjusted to accurately reflect evolving understandings of, expectations for, and contexts that shape the profession's work. Professional standards define the nature and the quality of work of persons who practice that profession, in this case, educational leaders. To whom do the standards apply? The standards are foundational to all levels of educational leadership. They apply to principals and assistant principals, and they apply to district leaders as they engage in similar domains of work as school leaders. However, the specific leadership activities that follow each standard are cast more toward school-level leadership than district-level leadership. District-level leaders have additional responsibilities that extend beyond these standards. Moreover, the standards have been recast with a stronger, clearer emphasis on students and students' learning, outlining foundational principles of leadership to help ensure that each child is well educated and prepared for the 21st century. They elevate areas of educational leader work that were once not well understood or deemed less relevant but have since been shown to contribute to student learning. So, what's new about the standards? The standards recognize the central importance of human relationships not only in leadership work but in teaching and student learning. The standards also reflect a positive approach to leadership that is optimistic, emphasizes development and strengths, and focus on human potential. Then, the standards adopt a future-oriented perspective. While they are grounded in the present, they are aspirational, recognizing that the changing world in which educational leaders work today will continue to transform, and the demands and expectations for educational leaders along with it. Lastly, the standards are aspirational in other ways too. They challenge the profession, professional associations, policymakers, institutions of higher education, and other organizations that support educational leaders and their development to move beyond established practices and systems and to strive for a better future. So let's move on to the next question. What is the link between educational leadership and student learning? In all realms of their work, educational leaders must focus on how they are promoting the learning, achievement, development, and well-being of each student. The standards reflect interdependent domains, qualities, and values of leadership work that research and practice suggest that are integral to student success. Let's understand more the relationship of school leadership work to student learning using this diagram. As shown in the figure, at the core, students learn when educational leaders foster safe, caring, and supportive school learning communities and promote rigorous curricula, instructional, and assessment systems. This work requires educational leaders to build and strengthen a network of organizational supports, the professional capacity of teachers and staff, the professional community in which they learn and work, family and community engagement, and effective, efficient management and operations of the school. In all of their work, educational leaders are driven by the school's mission, vision, and core values. They are called to act ethically and with professional integrity, and they promote equity and cultural responsiveness. Finally, educationally effective leaders believe their school can always be better. To realize their school's visions of student learning and stay true to their school's core values, educational leaders subject every realm of the school to improvement, including themselves at their own work. They are tenacious change agents who are creative, inspirational, and willing to weather the potential risks, uncertainties, and political fallout to make their schools places where each student thrives. While the primary focus of the standards is on leaders in administrative roles, the standards recognize that effective school leadership is not the sole province of those in such roles. Leadership work for effective schools can be performed by many within a school, in particular by teachers. Administrative leaders play a crucial role in the effective development and exercise of leadership school-wide. Therefore, the standards reflect the importance of cultivating leadership capacity of others. How can the standards be used? They are a compass that guides the direction of practice directly as well as indirectly through the work of policymakers, professional associations, and supporting institutions. To further understand how these standards can be utilized, let's take a look at this theory of action of the role of professional standards in leadership practice and outcomes. This figure presents a theory of action of the ways that professional standards can guide educational leadership practice and promote its outcomes. This theory of action also indicates how these professional standards can be effectively used. Standards have direct influence on members of the profession by creating expectations and setting directions for the practice of educational leaders. They have indirect influence on educational leadership by helping to shape the actions and support provided to members of the profession by professional associations and the system of supporting institutions involved in educational leader preparation and development. They also have indirect influence on educational leadership by serving as a foundation for policy and regulations regarding the profession and its practice, including those related to educational leader preparation, certification, professional development, and evaluation. Moreover, standards shape public expectations for the profession, for policy, and for supporting institutions, which also affect practice. The professional standards for educational leaders should not be a static document. As professional standards, they should be regularly reviewed and revised to accurately reflect evolving understandings of and expectations for the profession's work. Their adoption and implementation should be monitored, and their influence on the profession and the practice of educational leadership should be evaluated. Thus, schools and school districts need effective leaders like never before to take on the challenges and opportunities facing education today and in the future. The standards paint a rich portrait of such a leader, one whom our students are counting on to help them reach their full potential.
We already knew the relationship of school leadership work to student learning and the theory of action of the role of professional standards in leadership practice and outcomes. Now, let's take a look at Standard 1. It's all about mission, vision, and core values. In Standard 1, effective educational leaders develop, advocate, and enact a shared mission, vision, and core values of high-quality education and academic success, and also well-being of each student.
To become an effective leaders, one must develop an educational mission for the school to promote the academic success and well-being of each student. Collaboration with members of the school and the community and using relevant data. Develop and promote a vision for the school and the successful learning and development of each child and on instructional and organizational practices that promote such success. Articulate, advocate, and cultivate core values that define the school's culture and stress the imperative of child-centered education, high expectations and student support, equity and social justice, openness, caring, and trust, and a continuous improvement. Develop, implement, and evaluate action to achieve the vision of the school. Review the school's mission and vision and adjust them to changing expectations and opportunities for the school and changing needs and situations of students. Develop shared understanding of and commitment to vision, mission, and core values within the school and community. Lastly, model and pursue the school's mission and vision and core values in all aspects of leadership.
Standard 2. Ethics and professional norms. Effective educational leaders act ethically and according to professional norms to promote each student's academic success and well-being.
In Standard 2, to become an effective leader, he must act ethically and professionally in personal conduct, relationships with others, decision-making, stewardships of the school's resources, and all aspects in school leadership. Act according to and promote the professional norms of integrity, fairness, transparency, trust, collaboration, perseverance, learning, and continuous improvement. Place children at the center of education and accept responsibility for each student's academic success and well-being. Safeguard and promote the values of democracy, individual freedom and responsibility, equity, social justice, community, and diversity. Lead with interpersonal and communication skill, social, emotional insight, and understanding of all students and staff members' backgrounds and cultures. Provide moral direction for the school and promote ethical and professional behavior among faculty and staff.
For Standard 3, focus on equity and cultural responsiveness. Effective educational leaders strive for equity of educational opportunity and culturally responsive practices to promote each student's academic success and well-being. To become effective leaders, one must ensure that each student is treated fairly, respectfully, and with understanding of each student's culture and context. Recognize, respect, and employ each student's strength, diversity, and culture as assets for teaching and learning.
How to become an effective leaders? According to Standard 3, one must ensure that each student has equitable access to effective teachers, learning opportunities, academic and social support, and other resources necessary for success. Develop student policies and address student misconduct in a positive, fair, and unbiased manner. Confront and alter institutional basis of students' marginalization, deficit-based schooling, and low expectation associated with race, class, culture, and language, including gender and sexual orientation, and disability of special status. Promote the preparation of students to live productively in and contribute to the diverse cultural context of a global society. Act with cultural competence and responsiveness in their interactions, decision-making, and practice. Address matters of equity and cultural responsiveness in all aspects of leadership.
Now let's take a look at Standard 4, Curriculum, Instruction, and Assessment. Effective educational leaders developed and support intellectually rigorous and coherent system of curriculum, instruction, and assessment to promote each student's academic success and well-being.
The following are the standards to become an effective leaders. Implement coherent system of curriculum, instruction, and assessment that promote the mission, vision, and core values of the school. Embody high expectations for the students' learning, aligned with academic standards, and are culturally responsive. The other one, aligned and focused system of curriculum instruction and assessment within and across grade levels to promote students' academic success, love of learning, identities and habits of learners, and healthy sense of self. Promote instructional practice that is consistent with knowledge of child learning and development, effective pedagogy, and the needs of each student. Ensure that instructional practices that is intellectually challenging, authentic to student experiences, recognizes student strengths, and is differentiated and personalized. Promote the effective use of technology in the service of teaching and learning. Employ valid assessments that are consistent with knowledge of child learning and development and technical standards of measurement. Use assessments data appropriately and within technical limitations to monitor students' progress and improve instruction.
Let's take a look at Standard 5, Community of Care. and support for students. Effective educational leaders cultivate an inclusive, caring, and supportive school community that promotes the academic success and well-being of each student.
And now, for Standard 5, to become an effective leaders, you are to possess the following. Build and maintain a safe, caring, and healthy school environment that meets the academic, social, emotional, and physical needs of each student. Create and sustain a school environment in which each student is known, accepted, and valued, trusted and respected, cared for, and encouraged to be an active and responsible member of the school community. Provide coherent system of academic and social supports, services, extracurricular activities, and accommodations to meet the range of learning needs of each student. Promote adult-student, student-peer, and school community relationships that value and support academic learning and positive social and emotional development. Cultivate and reinforce student engagement in school and positive student conduct. Lastly, infuse the school's learning environment with the cultures and languages of the school's community.
Sir June has already done discussing standards 1 to 5. Now, I am tasked to discuss standards 6 to 10. Standard 6 is all about the professional capacity of school personnel. Effective educational leaders develop the professional capacity and practice of school personnel to promote each student's academic success and well-being. Effective leaders recruit, hire, support, develop, and retain effective and caring teachers and other professional staff and form them into an educationally effective faculty. They also plan for and manage staff turnover and succession, providing opportunities for effective induction and mentoring of new personnel. Effective leaders develop teachers and staff members' professional knowledge, skills, and practice through differentiated opportunities for learning and growth, guided by understanding of professional and adult learning and development. They also foster continuous improvement of individual and collective instructional capacity to achieve outcomes envisioned for each student. Effective leaders deliver actionable feedback about instruction and other professional practice through valid, research anchored systems of supervision and evaluation to support the development of teachers and staff members' knowledge, skills, and practice. They also empower and motivate teachers and staff to the highest levels of professional practice and to continuous learning and improvement. Effective leaders develop the capacity, opportunities, and support for teacher leadership and leadership from other members of the school community, and promote the personal and professional health, well-being, and work-life balance of faculty and staff. Lastly, they tend to their own learning and effectiveness through reflection, study, and improvement, maintaining a healthy work-life balance. Standard 7 is all about the professional community for teachers and staff. Effective educational leaders foster a professional community of teachers and other professional staff to promote each student's academic success and well-being. Effective leaders develop workplace conditions for teachers and other professional staff that promote effective professional development, practice, and student learning. They also empower and entrust teachers and staff with collective responsibility for meeting the academic, social, emotional, and physical needs of each student pursuant to the mission, vision, and core values of the school. Effective leaders establish and sustain a professional culture of engagement and commitment to shared vision, goals, and objectives pertaining to the education of the whole child, high expectations for professional work, ethical and equitable practice, trust and open communication, collaboration, collective efficacy, and continuous individual and organizational learning and improvement, and also promote mutual accountability among teachers and other professional staff for each student's success and effectiveness of the school as a whole. Effective leaders develop and support open, productive, caring, and trusting working relationships among leaders, faculty, and staff to promote professional capacity and the improvement of practice. They also design and implement job embedded and other opportunities for professional learning collaboratively with faculty and staff. They also provide opportunities for collaborative examination of practice, collegial feedback, and collective learning. Lastly, effective leaders encourage faculty initiated improvement of programs and practices. Standard 8 is all about the meaningful engagement of families and community. Effective educational leaders engage families and the community in meaningful, reciprocal, and mutually beneficial ways to promote each student's academic success and well being. Effective leaders are approachable, accessible, and welcoming to families and members of the community, and create and sustain positive, collaborative, and productive relationships with families and the community for the benefit of students. They also engage in regular and open two-way communication with families and the community about the school, students, needs, problems, and accomplishments. Effective leaders maintain a presence in the community to understand its strengths and needs, develop productive relationships, and engage its resources for the school, and create means for the school community to partner with families to support student learning in and out of school. They also understand, value, and employ the community's cultural, social, intellectual, and political resources to promote student learning and school improvement, and develop and provide the school as a resource for families and the school community. Effective leaders advocate for the school and district and for the importance of education and student needs and priorities to families and community. Effective leaders advocate publicly for the needs and priorities of students, families, and the community. Lastly, they build and sustain productive partnerships with public and private sectors to promote school improvement and student learning. Standard 9 is about operations and management. Effective educational leaders manage school operations and resources to promote each student's academic success and well being. Effective leaders institute, manage, and monitor operations and administrative systems that promote the mission and vision of the school, and strategically manage staff resources, assigning and scheduling teachers and staff to roles and responsibilities that optimize their professional capacity to address each student's learning needs. They seek, acquire, and manage physical, and other resources to support curriculum, instruction and assessment, student learning community, professional capacity, and community and family and community engagement. They are responsible, ethical, and accountable stewards of the school's monetary and non monetary resources, engaging in effective budgeting and accounting practices. They also protect teachers and other staff members' work and learning from disruption, and employ technology to improve the quality and efficiency of operations and management, developing and maintaining data and communication systems to deliver actionable information for classroom and school improvement. Effective leaders know, comply with, and help the school community understand local, state, and federal laws, rights, policies, and regulations so as to promote student success. They develop and manage relationships with feeder and connecting schools for enrollment management and curricular and instructional articulation, and productive relationships with the central office and school board. They also develop and administer systems for fair and equitable management of conflict among students, faculty and staff, leaders, families, and community. Lastly, they manage governance processes and internal and external politics toward achieving the school's mission and vision. Standard 10 is about school improvement. Effective educational leaders act as agents of continuous improvement to promote each student's academic success and well being. Effective leaders seek to make school more effective for each student, teachers and staff, families, and the community, and use methods of continuous improvement to achieve the vision, fulfill the mission, and promote the core values of the school, and prepare the school and the community for improvement, promoting readiness, and imperative for improvement, instilling mutual commitment and accountability, and developing the knowledge, skills, and motivation to succeed in improvement. Effective leaders assess and develop the capacity of staff to assess the value and applicability of emerging educational trends and the findings of research for the school and its improvement, and develop technically appropriate systems of data collection, management, analysis, and use, connecting as needed to the district office and external partners for support in planning, implementation, monitoring, feedback, and evaluation, and adopt a systems perspective and promote coherence among improvement efforts and all aspects of school organization, programs, and services. They also manage uncertainty, risk, competing initiatives, and politics of change with courage and perseverance, providing support and encouragement and openly communicating the need for, process for, and outcomes of improvement efforts. And lastly, they develop and promote leadership among teachers and staff for inquiry, experimentation and innovation, and initiating and implementing improvement. That's all, and I hope that you learned something from us.
Once again, I am June A. Mosqueza.
I am John Rose L. Macalisang.
And I am Alexander Don Macion.
Thank you for watching and goodbye.